Sup fam, my name is Styx, and today I want to go over a few classes that I personally believe you should be leveling in MapleStory as a new player. Now, these are by no means the best classes or the strongest classes that are currently available this year in 2017, but I do believe that they are classes that you should be leveling up as a new player, as they are the easiest and most beneficial classes to play due to the fact that you don't really need funding to buy gear, you don't really need money to buy potions. Not to mention that a couple of these classes actually give you really beneficial account-wide buffs that are passive and literally carry over to every single one of your characters. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's start off with a personal favorite of mine, Demon Avenger. Now I don't have Demon Avenger listed here because it is my main, okay? Okay, maybe this is listed partially because I main a Demon Avenger, but I swear it is not the only reason. Now, Demon Avenger is a very straightforward class. It's a resistance type warrior class that focuses on HP as a main stat, whilst simultaneously having the highest HP overall across every single class in the game. Instead of using the traditional mana that most of the other classes use in the game, Demon Avengers instead use their own HP to attack, which gives them the ability to deal actually really surprisingly good damage, and to top it off, simultaneously being able to self-heal themselves. Yeah, they're a class that not only deals good damage, and strangely enough, through the use of their own HP, they are able to then heal themselves, literally back to full health. I'm not kidding here. I main a Demon Avenger, and I literally have no trouble with HP ever. At endgame though, the Demon Slayer is probably quite a bit more popular than the Demon Avenger, probably because it's generally considered to be the better class at endgame. However, if you don't actually have much funding, then Demon Avenger is definitely the better choice of the two, especially if you're a first-timer. Please take a moment to be aware, however, that if you do not pay attention to your HP pool, you will very likely end up killing yourself, which, granted, I am guilty of doing on more than one occasion, unfortunately. It still happens too. Fuck, I am a scrub. Alright, so KANNA is a Sengoku type magician class that focuses primarily on intelligence as a main stat. She is, however, very squishy. I mean, she's a magician class. They're all squishy. Even so, KANNA still has the highest HP of all the magician type classes, which granted is not saying much. KANNA, like the Demon Avenger, does not use MP. She doesn't use mana at all. Instead, she uses something called spiritual power. This means that once again, you do not have to fork out any money for MP potions, which is great. I burned through so much money when I was purchasing MP potions for the first time, like, woo! KANNA is one of the better grinders in the game because her attacks literally cover the entire screen, hitting every single thing on the screen. Granted, her attacks aren't super high in damage. Coupled with the fact that she has a skill that increases the spawn rate of monsters, it makes for some ridiculous mobbing potential. Her one drawback, however, is the fact that she has relatively low damage, which can make soloing or solo grinding a much more daunting task than for other classes. But she does make up for that in the fact that she can hit everything on the screen simultaneously, but that will of course not be super high amounts of damage being pushed out. She does, however, excel when in a group. Just a quick note though, KANNA is actually classified as a support class, and she is very high in demand due to the fact that she can hit everything on the screen simultaneously, and she provides fantastic buffs. Okay, so maybe not one of the easiest and definitely not one of the best classes in the game to level, but nevertheless it is worth noting that getting a Mercedes to level 70 unlocks a special account-wide passive buff that provides players with increased XP scaling all the way to level 120. What this means is that every future character you make, or even every past character you've made prior to making a Mercedes, will receive a passive increase in their XP from literally hitting level 70 onwards, or if you want to go as far as getting your Mercedes to level 120. This skill makes leveling her, leveling all of your alts, and this skill makes leveling everything much easier. Trust me. Alright, so I'm not really 100% certain how to pronounce this one. I'm gonna go ahead and call it the CYGNUS Knights, but you should go ahead and focus on leveling the CYGNUS Knights because they get a passive account-wide buff, which again means right across your entire account for every single character on it, called the Empress's Blessing. Now what the Empress's Blessing does is gives you a passive increase in damage done for every single character you have. Meaning that while grinding, while raiding, anything, while doing everything, you have a passive increased attack buff. Always on. Although getting the Empress's Blessing buff should not be the sole reason for leveling a CYGNUS Knight, it probably will very well end up being the only reason you end up leveling them. Not because they're a bad class, but just because the buff is ridiculously good and that there are better classes to be leveling. So the Bishop is an adventure-type magician class that focuses more on support than it does on offense. Bishops are very, very high in demand due to their support skills such as healing allies, dispelling negative spell effects, not to mention buffing all your party stats. This can make doing raids, taking on bosses, or even just normal leveling so much easier. I would like to point out though that the Bishop class is a support class, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, and therefore it does do really, really low damage. Now, it does deal probably some of the lowest overall damage in the game, which may make soloing incredibly difficult. But if you can get around that, it is one of the most sought after, one of the most useful classes in the whole game. Okay, well, there you have it. Now, the goal of this video was never meant to be a full-on guide, you know, that walked you through all of the best classes. It was just supposed to be more, you know, informational for new players. Hopefully something that new players can just watch or read through depending on if they're watching this video or instead reading the article on our website. It is not a largely detailed guide. It is not supposed to be. It's just a little helpful guide for anyone that may need a helping hand on what they should be leveling the first time, if there are any classes in specific they should be leveling first, or classes that are easiest to level and play for a new player as their first experience. Because you guys know that first experiences and first impressions are everything. Also, just a quick question, what classes do you find are the most useful and the easiest classes to play in the game? Regardless, hopefully you guys enjoyed this short guide. If you want more guides like this in the future, want more guides on MapleStory, or want other guides on other games that we play, let us know down in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on videos like this and overall gameplay videos on all the other games we play in the future. Take care everyone, and see you all next time.